this is Tia and welcome to another video. Today we're doing another story. We're once again in the Hermitcraft season Clockwork story. We're still in episode 1 and we're reading episode 4, which should be the last one of this episode. Chapter 4. If I remember how I number these things correctly. Yeah, like I separate these on numbers. Kind of like what Exuma does, to be fair. But, you know, I do it in specific parts because they are specific episodes. The episodes are basically parts. So. Yeah. I don't know how you guys are liking these, so because I'm just recording these in advance, you'd probably know that if you look up at the left upper corner. You would know exactly when I'm recording this and what I'm doing. And yeah. Basically, if you don't know what's going on, this is basically me putting the hermits from Hermitcraft into my Clockwork Chronicles world and seeing what happens. I don't mention many characters other than that yet, but there's always an opportunity for me to do so if people really want to see specific characters interact where they otherwise probably never would. Though there are probably some I probably would omit for reasons. But yeah, we'll see. Like, Hermitcraft's interacting with certain people. I mean, yeah, we'll see. Basically, we are still in Grian's perspective. We are for the next 5 chapters. The 5 episodes, I mean. Yeah, this will be the first story. Of course, I can do somebody else's perspective in the next story segment. Of course, if you want to leave story ideas in the comments, you can. If you do want to take a peek at what I've already written, there are playlists to all the stories and short stories I've done, so you're not missing out. If you do want to check it out, you've got several hours worth. Just me droning and sometimes dropping in little comments here and there. Oh yeah, we should probably get to the story, shouldn't we? Yeah. I don't really explain Mr. A's and his men's situation. I explain a lot better in the stories to come, but I mean, you'll learn more about them as we go along. But yeah, I was just like, I didn't want to explain it for the 5th time. Yeah. To be honest, if you ask me down below, I can tell you everything you need to know. But, of course, the answers are there if you're willing to look for them. Let's get started. Chapter 4. Grian snapped his eyes open, wide awake, as he was startled by the sounds of an alarm blasting through the echoey halls of the underground bunker he was sleeping in with his friends. He sat upright and looked around the dimly lit room, confused, when he heard a shout of alarm as the clashing of swords could be heard. He could see the others, who were both confused and frightened, as he leapt out of bed, commanding everyone to get up and go. No one hesitated as he urged his friends towards the secret hiding spot that had been made for them, making sure that his room was safe. The room was secretly. I'm gonna pretend that didn't happen. The room was safely hidden before running into the next room, to make sure the people there were hidden. Exuma and Scar are still out there, Mumble stated worriedly, as he pointed back to the way Grian had come. I got it, Grian nodded. Just stay safe, okay? They won't find us, Mumble replied confidently. Let's hope so, the YouTuber said as he shoved his friend into the room, making sure it was closed before running back into the hallway to see Exuma and Scar battling against a half-dozen men trying to barge in. Grian! Scar shouted loudly. Can you tell these guys we just want to talk? There's no point in talking when it's your kind involved. The man fighting him sneered as he lunged for the YouTuber. Scar yelped in surprise as he leapt backward. Grian stepped back as he pulled out his bow, feeling more comfortable at a distance than up and personal. I've taken notes. Keep them put. I have them right where I want them, Grian commanded, noticing one of the men turning away from his potential victims and turned towards him, a look of menacing glee in his expression. Grian aimed his bow right at him, scared the man would try lunging for him. Stay back or I'll shoot. I don't think you'll be firing anything today, YouTuber, the man said with a cold sneer as Grian heard the sound of glass shattering behind him. As he shouted in surprise, dodging out of the way as someone lunged for him, his arrow flying into the ceiling harmlessly. Grian, get out of here! Get out of there! Blah! Someone shouted, knocking back one of the men. I'm not leaving you guys behind, Grian said determinedly. Oh, how sweet, the man nearest him chimed as he lunged at him again, Grian just barely keeping a good distance from him. You need to call for backup, the YouTuber replied. We can handle things here. You sure? The YouTuber asked with hesitation. Just do it! Scar exclaimed, dodging another attack. We'll hold them off. Grian swallowed, but finally nodded as he charged toward the nearby water elevator, hating himself for leaving his friends to fend for themselves on their own. He wanted so badly to help them, but he knew they were right. He knew who the right people were to talk to, at least to get help anyway. The cause certainly would be willing to help them. He just had to find them first. He just hoped that by the time he did, that it wasn't too late. He lunged at the water elevator, just as the man pursuing him caught up to him, hearing the man's angry voice from below as he did so, closing his eyes as he tried to push back the thoughts of his friends fighting and losing against these men. They were outnumbered and outmatched, and there was nothing he could do except what he was doing already. Well, he wanted it to be enough. Do I do something like that? Is that fair? I mean, there's nothing stopping me from going on. Yeah. Of course, there's a lot of stuff that I don't explain. Let's keep going. Episode 2, Chapter 5. Grian stumbled out of the water elevator, deciding it was best not to try to dry himself off yet. He scrambled to his feet and ran back towards the wooded area, hoping to beat anyone going to the portal. If the men were trying to make sure none of them escaped, no doubt they would expect him to try to leave through the portal. He had to make sure they didn't beat him to it. The roar of the helicopter could still be heard in the distance as he continued running, barely noticing all of the debris and destruction that had been caused, especially to the entrance. The bush was completely demolished by what appeared to be an explosion. Had the machine done that for some random chance? Or had someone seen or heard him when he was sent down the trap and met up with his friends? He ignored the copter, knowing, or at least hoping, it wouldn't try to follow him through the trees. If the men had wanted to kill them, they'd surely be dead by now, right? He had to hope so. He could feel his heart pounding in his chest as he tried to push forward, a part of him not daring to look back to see if someone was pursuing him, or if he'd lost them by the elevator. He honestly hoped he had, but he had a feeling it wouldn't be that easy. It didn't take him too long to get to the wooded area as he jogged his way in, following the path towards the portal carefully, keeping an eye out for a potential attack from any side. His caution was swiped off the board almost instantly as he heard a sound like a smashing of glass. He yelped in surprise, dodging an attempt at one of the men grabbing him. Do you really think you could simply run away from us that easily? The man shouted in anger as Grian weaved around him, going for what he knew the portal would be. He ignored the man, knowing it was far better to focus than deter his attention. One slip-up could ruin all of their chances of getting out of this. He couldn't let that happen. He ran into the small clearing as he went over to the portal, checking its coordinates quickly, stopping when he realized they were different and wasn't sure how to fix it. He didn't have the thing he needed with him. Looks like we're one step ahead of you this time, YouTuber, the man sneered as Grian turned around, nervously. I knew you'd try to get your little friends for help. Unfortunately for you, that's not going to happen. You're coming with me. Why? What does your leader possibly want with me? Grian said firmly. I'm only following orders, and getting one of you will increase our chances of getting your friends too. They'll try to rescue you, no doubt. The man chuckled. It's perfect, don't you think? No, I don't think that, actually. Grian said simply as he jumped through the portal, feeling like consume him. Once more, as he heard the angry shouts of the man not too far behind, he rolled out on the other side. Noting he was around what appeared to be another forest. It appeared to be a common theme. He didn't have time to dwell on that much to that, though. Moments passed as he slipped through the other side, darkness surrounding him as the night grew even more evident in the spruce trees around him. It didn't look at all familiar, but he knew that was to be expected. He didn't know where he was, but he knew what he needed to do. He glanced back momentarily, blinking at the bright portal as it began to run through the trees, going anywhere that would be away from his pursuer. My nose is a little woof stuffed. Who had just crossed the other side of the portal as he disappeared through the trees. Where are you, YouTuber? The voice of the man called loudly as he pressed onward. Knowing his footsteps were probably giving him away as he ran, he couldn't stop, though, knowing the man had to be nearby. You can't hide from us forever, you know it. We will find you. He swallowed as he tried to block out the man's voice, wanting to focus on what he was doing as he heard the man's footsteps not too far from him. He wasn't sure about the distance, but he guessed that it was probably far enough where he could try to give the man the slip, and maybe even get away with it. He glanced over his shoulder, only seeing the dark void behind him as he glanced up momentarily at the night sky. It appeared to be early morning, but still way too late to be awake. What even was that accent? Awake. He could tell he was exhausted from the day before. There wasn't much else he could do as he ran, trying to find a way to slip away from the man, when he suddenly heard a shatter of glass as he hollered in surprise, being knocked to the ground by a mysterious force. The man's chuckle was evident as he felt his arms being pinned behind him. I told you you couldn't get away from us, the man mused coldly. Let go of me! Grian hissed quietly, struggling against the man. The man only laughed at the YouTuber's feeble attempts to get away from him. Not this time. Coming with me. Not if I have anything to say about it. A new voice stated firmly, as the YouTuber heard a yelp of surprise. He felt the man being yanked off him. The YouTuber sat up in both shock and relief as he looked over to see a golden glow from a torch as a boy and another figure stood over the man. The boy seemed to be in his late teens, his bright red curls and bright blue eyes clear in the dim light. Once he seemed confident that the man was dealt with, he turned to the YouTuber and held out his hand. You okay? Yeah, Grian admitted, taking the boy's hand as he helped him up. Grian brushed the dirt off his red shirt. Poor jumper. As he readjusted his sleeves for a more comfortable position. Thanks for helping me. Not a problem. What's your name? Mine's Liam, the boy said cheerfully. Grian, the YouTuber replied as he smiled. He could just about see the mysterious figure behind the boy grab the unconscious man and drag him away into the darkness, never to be seen again. Nice to meet you, the boy replied, returning the smile. We should probably go somewhere safe. We aren't far from the school. School? The YouTuber asked curiously. Yeah, it's where I do my main operations, the boy admitted. It should be safer there than out here. All right, lead the way then, Grian replied, realizing he had no other choice but to trust the boy. Maybe he had more answers to what was going on. Perhaps he'd be able to help him complete his mission. All he could think about what? All she could think about was the danger of his friends, that his friends were now in, especially since he'd managed to escape the men. They certainly would not forget that as easily as he hoped they would. No, that's chapter 5. And unfortunately, I'm going to end that there, because why not? I'm not going to go on for too long, because, yeah, we got more chapters to go through. Like, this one's a shorter one, because, well, he doesn't stay here for very long. But the next couple of ones will be fun. I mean, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. It'll get interesting. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Leave any thoughts, questions, or theories down below, and you know the drill. Unless you're new here, then you don't know the drill, but it's just something that happens. Like, I like people theorizing, giving me ideas, but like, not many people have been giving me ideas for what to do more. I mean, I still have to figure out how to write stuff for another story that's going on that's not correlated to this at all. I gotta figure out how to write that and whether or not it'll come out. But, I mean, a lot has happened. And, yeah. So far, inside the Clockwork Chronicles, when it related to the lovely world, there are 3 dogs that are still alive that I, unfortunately, have to deal with. Sort out. Somehow. I won't say more than that. If you know, you know. If you don't worry about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you all later. Goodbye.